Hello Turkaholics and welcome back to Football a la Turca Season 2, Episode 5, covering Matchday 5 of the Turkish Süper Lig and also Matchday 1 of the Champions and Europa League, at least for the Turkish clubs in action. My name is Kaan Bayazit and I'm joined once again by Burak Sezgin, Yakup, Marufoglu and the returning Umut. Naderi is subbing in for Özer, Dindjer, Umut, and the rest of you all, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Umut, how was your trip to Belgium? You went to watch Galatasaray Club Brugge live. How was it?
Well, the going was in a rush, to be honest, because I didn't know what to do at first, and you guys helped me out, thanks to you, and I went there without an issue, but the returning was not cool. It took a lot of time because I had to depart by bus because I had no tickets for an hotel or somewhere to stay, so I decided I go back by bus. Then, in an 8 hours almost, I arrived to King's Cross in London without an issue. It was fun.
Yeah, it would have been more fun if you guys got a win, I'm sure.
Yeah. You want that, but you never get it.
Yeah, and for you guys wondering, Kaan, you live in Belgium, why didn't you let him stay at your place? I offered, but it's like a super long distance for Belgium standards, like 140 kilometers, and I don't drive, so I couldn't go and pick him up, and for him to get to us was impossible because there were no trains after the match anymore, so unfortunately this was the best solution for Umut. Burak, how was your week? No European football for Fenerbahce. Did you manage to enjoy the Turkish teams in action?
Well, I watched the other teams, to be honest, quite honest with you. So a lot of the games were quite early as well, so by the time I actually got home from work, the second half sort of pretty much started. I tried to catch some of the Galatasaray Bruges game because that was a 6 p.m. kickoff in the UK, so I caught some of that on the train, and it was just a bit of a ball fest, to be fair. And the other results, I just checked in on them, saw brief highlights, and well, it looks like we're losing our automatic qualification to the Champions League, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. Yakup, your Trabzonspor's return to Europe wasn't a major success, but at least it wasn't as bad as Beşiktaş or Başakşehir's outings.
Yeah, I guess I can be fine with not losing really hard, but it's still a pretty terrible week with the Europa League game and with the game today.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
Yeah, let's get into this European result. So in the Champions League in Group A, Galatasaray and Club Brugge, Club Brugge and Galatasaray played to a 0-0 draw. Otherwhere in the group, Paris Saint-Germain trashed Real Madrid 3-0. Didn't watch the game, but I'm hearing Paris Saint-Germain played fantastic football. So obviously they are the first leaders in this group, with Real Madrid being fourth and Galatasaray being currently on level points with Brugge in second/third place. In Group C of the Europa League, Getafe beat Trabzonspor 1-0, as we had just alluded to. Goal here coming from Angel in the 18th minutes. And in the other match in the group, Basel absolutely thumped Krasnodar 5-0, so it can always be worse. And obviously Basel are the leaders on goal differential in Group C with 3 points, and Getafe in second place with 3 points. Trabzonspor in third, and then Krasnodar bottom, just basically on goal differential. In Group J, AS Roma trashed Başakşehir 4-0. That wasn't a great outing for Başakşehir. It was 1-0 after 45 minutes following a Junior Caiçara own goal. Then in the 58th minute, Edin Dzeko doubled the scoreline for Roma. Nicolo Zaniolo made it 3-0 in the 71st minute. And then in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, Justin Kluivert made it 4-0. 2 assists also for Zaniolo, so he really caused lots of problems for Başakşehir on the night. Then in the other match, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest shocker of the Europa League night, Borussia Mönchengladbach losing 0-4 against Wolfsberger from Austria. So the early leaders in this Group J are both Roma and Wolfsberger, as both teams won with 4 goals difference, and obviously Başakşehir and Mönchengladbach are sharing 3rd and 4th place on 0 points and the same goal differential. And then finally in Group K, Slovan Bratislava beat Beşiktaş 4-2. The scoreline went as follows. Andras Sporar put the hosts in front in the 14th minute after a huge blunder from Loris Karius. Then in the 29th minute, Adam Laic converted a spot kick to make it 1-1. In the first minute of stoppage time, Vasil Bojikov scored an own goal following a George Kevinukuro cross, made it 1-2 for Beşiktaş, so half-time scoreline 1-2. Then Andras Sporar made it 2-2 in the 58th minute, and then in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, Marin Ljubicic made it 3-2, and then 60 seconds later, Mohamed Rasala made it 4-2 in the 4th minute of stoppage time, so a little bit of a misleading scoreline perhaps. Wolves Braga, another surprise, but lesser so. Wolves losing at home to the Portuguese side 1-0, making them second in the group. And of course, Slovan Bratislava the early leaders, and Beşiktaş bottom, and Wolves in 3rd place. Goal differential again. Let's briefly talk about the matches. Umut, Galatasaray's performance away at Club Brugge, what did you think about it?
Well, we held the position at all times, but couldn't manage to find space because Brugge positioned really well at defense, and they had the pacey wingers, which caused some issues to our backs. Especially Nagatomo gets dispossessed every time by the I don't know the name of the winger who has blonde hair, caused really trouble to Galatasaray at times. And Falcao especially couldn't find any space and got lost behind the defenders of Club Brugge. Before the game, it was a threat that it's been said that Club Brugge can possess some threats from the set pieces, which their captain Ruud Wormer takes. And we saw that they can cause a lot of issues from there. And it was quite lucky because they missed a lot of chances from those set pieces, and also quite unlucky from Babel to miss that chance, which he should have taken, but missed because he went for the power instead of placement. So it was a disappointment for Galatasaray.
In the first half, Club Brugge had quite a few really good opportunities to score, but Galatasaray had probably the best chance, as Umut just alluded to, one-on-one. Ryan Babel with Mignolet, but I think Mignolet saved that one. Then in the second half, I felt that Brugge kind of fell back a little bit. Galatasaray gained more control, but not a lot of chances in the second half. A potential penalty at the very end where there was a VAR check, but penalty wasn't given for Brugge, so fortunately for Galatasaray, they get off on a relatively okay start, and they are, I guess you could say, in the favorable position right now for 3rd place, because that's realistically probably what they're going to be aiming for, although with Real Madrid losing heavily against Paris Saint-Germain, you never know, maybe Galatasaray can do something against Real Madrid and fight for 2nd place. But Paris Saint-Germain early on showing their authority in this group already, and of course on the next match day Galatasaray will play Paris Saint-Germain, if I'm not mistaken, Umut.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't looked it up yet, but it will cause us a lot of trouble because so many talented players out there, and our defensive line is horrendous right now with Nagatomo and very unsteady centre-backs, both prone to a lot of errors at these times, Luyendama and Marcao, because I don't know why, but Marcao lost all of his confidence after his past mistakes. He doesn't want to make a mistake, so he cannot take any more risks on the field, which caused us a lot of trouble because of the courage he lost.
And then let's move on to the Europa League Group C. Yakup, your brief thoughts on the match against Getafe for Trabzonspor?
Yeah, I didn't like the team very much. Getafe played pretty good, to be honest. You have to give them a lot of props. But the team, I don't know what it was. I think it is a bit of fatigue, after playing so many games. But it just didn't seem like it seemed like there were 11 random players on the field that didn't know any positions and whatnot. There was a point where every midfielder was on the right of the pitch and there was nobody in the center. It was infuriating. The goal was a mistake from Uğurcan with communicating with the defenders. But all in all, not that bad of a game. But Trabzonspor needs to at least win some games at home And as I said a week ago, I was most afraid of Krasnodar, but they got absolutely hammered by Basel, so I don't even know what to think anymore. The only thing we can do is hope at the moment.
Yeah, not much to add about Başakşehir, of course, losing without a real chance against AS Roma, the favorites in this group. The big surprise in Group J, of course, Wolfsburger getting that win over Borussia Mönchengladbach. So that's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen there. Yeah, that maybe gives Başakşehir still an opportunity for second place, but maybe Wolfsburger will end in second. Imagine that. Let's move on then. Finally, my quick thoughts on the Beşiktaş performance. Similar feeling to what Yakup just said. It felt kind of like just 11 random players on the pitch. Doesn't really feel like it's meshing all too well. Although Beşiktaş should have always won this game, I think, but there was a lot of errors going on in both the first goal, lack of communication between Karius and the defense. I kind of wasn't surprised by that, given that Avci really switched it up at the back with changing both the fullbacks, and it was kind of a little bit of a miscommunication between both Robocho and Karius, it felt like. But Beşiktaş recovered from that, scoring the 1-1. I think Karius got very lucky not to get sent off a little later. Could have easily gotten sent off after a last man fall that didn't get seen by the referee. The penalty was on Laic. Laic took it, converted. That's later then. And then there was another penalty on Laic where the referee gave him a yellow card, which was ridiculous. It was an obvious penalty again for Beşiktaş, but I guess he felt like he already gave one. But then Beşiktaş still go into the half time in the lead with that deflection on Nkudu's cross. Nkudu, I thought, had a really good game. Felt like he beat his man every single time. Just needs to work on his end product, but his pace and his acceleration is really impressive at times. Another blunder at the back, it felt like more like Umut Nair, who started up top, gave the ball away clumsily. Then Victor Ruiz missed his interception on the ball. Sporar intercepted it and then scored 1-1 with Karius. Very good finish, but in the close angle, Karius, I think, should do a little bit more there. And then, what's there left to say? What can you say on the third goal? It's horrible officiating. Rebocho goes up for a header, gets kicked in the face. So you have to imagine the guy, 1.73 m tall, he's going up for a header, and he gets kicked in the face. So you imagine how high that boot was. Heads it out while getting kicked in the face. The attacker, which was Sporar, by the way, he apologizes profusely to Rebocho. He felt really bad about it, you could see that. But obviously, I mean, come on. And then, ref still gives the corner. They score out of that corner, and then they score 60 seconds later again because Beşiktaş have lost the plot. Not an excuse for the performance, of course. Terrible refereeing, but the Karius red card position was first, so he could have already reduced Beşiktaş to 10 men early on in the match, so he was very bad. But I'm not going to say that Beşiktaş lost because of the referee, because I think this could have been worse if Karius got sent off early, but it was just comical, the refereeing. That's a problem maybe in the Europa League, that you get these refs from Estonia who clearly are on up to the challenge. But all in all, terrible performance by Beşiktaş, and I think their European campaign could already be over, because Bratislava are the team in this group where you need to take 6 points against, and you lose on match day 1. So it looks like a terrible campaign for Beşiktaş in Europe. And Burak alluded to it earlier. We have 1 draw and 3 losses so far. Now, right now, Turkey have lost their straight spot into the UEFA Champions League for next season as it currently stands with the coefficients. The Netherlands are hopping over us, taking 10th position. We're dropping back. That means that whoever wins the league this season, if it stays like this, if we can't get more points than the Netherlands, this season's champion will not get a ticket straight into the UEFA group stages for the Champions League. So, it's been coming for a while, I guess, with the overall performances from Turkish clubs in Europe. It's Beşiktaş have kind of carried the coefficient. Well, not kind of. They've just outright been carrying the coefficient for the past 5 years, having amassed more coefficient points than the other clubs combined, basically. And they've been very poor this season so far, and that last season too. So they've collapsed, and nobody else have picked up the slack, so it's only logical, I guess, and it's very unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world, because, of course, the champion will have the champion route into the Champions League qualifier, so they theoretically should get easier opponents, but it means starting the season early, and that's a big disadvantage maybe for whoever wins the league next season. Burak, Yakup, Umut, anything to add to that story?
No, it's just a sad state of affairs.
It really is. Let's move over to the league then. We've spent enough time on the dramatic performance of Turkish clubs in the Champions and Europa League. More so the Europa League than the Champions League, really. So let's move over to match day 5 in the Turkish Super League 2019-2020 season. On Friday, Göztepe beat Konyaspor 1-0. Despite going down to 10 men in the 50th minute, Andre Poko got sent off, but in the 76th minute, Alparslan Öztürk converted a spot kick to make it 1-0 for the hosts. And that's a great result for Göztepe, who have been struggling. Burak, your thoughts on this match?
Oh, it was just so boring. I managed to catch most of this match on the Friday, and I think it was a correct decision for the sending off. But I think these two teams could have played for another 90 minutes and neither would have scored, and it took a penalty to break the deadlock. And after that, it just went back to being absolutely the same, just rubbish, boring football. Correct penalty. It was a tug on the Göztepe player's shirt. We saw the same thing tonight in the Beşiktaş-Başakşehir game, with the tug on Burak Yılmaz's shirt. So I don't know why defenders do that when they know that we got VAR as well. So it seems not to be getting through to them. Maybe they just forget in the heat of the moment that, I'll just pull this guy's shirt back a little bit. But then the guy goes down and you've got VAR watching. The referee's going to obviously go to it and see it's a clear shirt pull, which is a stonewall penalty, open and shut case. And I think is that Göztepe's first goal as well as their first win. I think it might be
their first win for sure. I don't know about the goal. I can check.
And it was the Cameron Jerome effect, because he actually didn't play too badly. It was their first goal of the season. It came from the penalty spot. It says a lot for them. The fans were absolutely amazing all game, I must say. They didn't shut up. They kept chanting loudly, and it was good for them to get a home win, because those fans definitely deserve it for the amount of passion they put into supporting Göztepe. But they've really got to step up and start to create some more chances and start finishing more. Cameron Jerome was a good anchor man up top, so he was good at bringing the ball down, bringing other players into play, so almost kind of sacrificed himself to try and pass the ball off. He didn't get much service otherwise, but let's wait and see. This 3 points, no matter how they come, bad, not so great football penalty, could be the kickstart that Göztepe need for their season. And as for Konyaspor, I think they'll just be finishing between mid-table again, probably between 7th and 12th. It wasn't inspiring football being played there. Despite being against 10 men, they just were unable to create anything of any substance or significance.
I agree with you guys. It wasn't really the best game, but Göztepe deserved the win anyway, because they were pretty much the only team that was attacking really consistently. Otherwise, pretty boring match.
Yeah, hard fought win for Göztepe, who are facing another tough season. I think, Umut, anything to add?
Well, actually, what Burak said, I can confirm it. Cameron Jerome effect. Getting rid of dead players like Yasin Öztekin and Eren Derdiok really changed the game the Göztepe played. Also, they relied on Mosoro and Soner Aydoğdu, who came from Başakşehir early on, which changed their game style and gave them a energetic feeling on the
maybe
field.
Mosoro was...
And also, I can point out Serkan Kırıntılı's game. Actually, he played really well, and he saved, I think, 8 saves he made, which reminded me of the game he had a year ago versus Alanya, which he saved 13 goals and a penalty from Emrah Baba as well. he was really great, but couldn't get enough. And Göztepe got their first 3 points.
Yeah. He had a couple, I think it might have been 2 seasons ago, he had a match like that against Besiktas where he made like 8 or 9 saves too. Serkan, of course, still one of the best goalkeepers in the league, but I think he's at the right level there. Not a big team player maybe, but great goalkeeper. Let's move on to Saturday. Kasımpaşa trashing Antalyaspor 3-0, getting their first win of the season. Goals here coming from Mustafa Bekdemek in the 53rd minute, then a goal from Nazim Sangare. It was disallowed for offside. And after that, Mame Tiam made 2 more goals in the 60th and 80th minute. He made it 2 and 3-0, and he had already assisted the first goal. So man of the match performance for Mame Tiam, who has been impressive for Kasımpaşa. Yakup, any notes on this game? What did you think of the disallowed goal?
Yeah, it is VAR. The VAR is doing its work. It's sometimes a bit annoying, but it was a correct decision. If you only look at the result, it really seems like Kasımpaşa just destroyed Antalya. But the first half, Antalya was pretty good, to be honest. But Kasımpaşa just kept coming and coming and coming, and after a while, you just can't defend it anymore. Pretty nice goals. There were some positions that would have been world-class goals if they just went in, but some of them just like a back heel from the forward of Antalyaspor that just went next to the post.
The guy that scored last week, right? What's his name again?
Yeah, I just can't remember his name, but otherwise a pretty nice match. Antalya didn't. Antalya isn't the team that should deserve this big of a loss, but props to Kasımpaşa for just finishing and being clinical.
Yeah, Burak, anything to add?
I'll just echo what Yakup said. Really, I think the 3-0 can be a little bit misleading because Antalyaspor were definitely in this game, but like you said, Kasımpaşa were just a lot more clinical in front of goal. Obviously, one of them coming from one of your favourite old boys, Kaan, Mustafa Bekdemek. he stayed fit enough, long enough to get his name on the score sheet, and the second goal by Tan was just a great finish. Lifted over the outcoming Antalyaspor goalkeeper. Correct position on the offside as well for Nazim's goal. Unfortunately, the guy was offside in the build up to it, and I think Antalya had a bit of a penalty shout when the ball came off the bar and hit the guy who was already jumping up in the air, and I don't think there's any VAR protocol for that, for if the ball comes back off the bar and hits someone who's jumping. For me, that's that is not a penalty, because I had a quick check of the law, and of course I'm a man of the law, and that for me that would have been an incredibly harsh penalty to give to Antalyaspor.
Yeah, and I think it was Gustavo Blanco with the back heel. Is that right, Yakup?
I really can't confirm at the moment, to be honest.
Sounds about right with the name like Blanco, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move forward then to the next match, which is Kayserispor Denizlispor. This one ended all square 1-1. Pedro Henrique getting the scoring started here in the 13th minute, but Radoslav Murawski scoring from long range in the 74th minute to make it 1-1. Very nice strike from Murawski. And I kind of felt that both teams could have gotten more here, but especially Denizlispor. Silvio Lung made a couple of really impressive saves. Burak, I'm going to throw to you first.
Yeah, I'd like to echo those statements. This was a good game. It was full of some good attacking football. So both teams are obviously going for it. And the goal by Denizlispor was just an absolute peach of a shot, and it deserved to win the game rather than to bring the game level, actually. But you could see that both teams were adventurous. They didn't hold back, which is good to see. Sometimes you get an opposing team that will show up and just try to sit back and try and hit them on the counter and soak up some pressure. But Denizli were definitely here to play. They came to the party to party. They didn't come to stand in a corner and look at everyone else dancing in the middle of the dance floor. So I think both of these teams are going to give us more entertaining football this season. I must say, though, I think Kayseri probably had some more chances to win, especially I think Adebayor missed a really good opportunity towards the start of the game with a header that he should be putting away a guy of his standard. But he did come up with the assist for Kaiser's opening goal as well. So he kind of redeemed himself a little bit. But I expect more from Adebayor rather than squandering that first chance.
And Pedro Henrique, he continues his scoring ways. He's had a good start to this season, but Denizlispor as a whole had a really good start. They're comfortably in mid-table right now. They don't have anything to worry about, playing good football. Does that surprise you, Umut, when you see them week in, week out getting decent results?
Yeah, sometimes the PTT Birincilik teams make some impact during their first season, but after the impact is gone, they balance out the position in the league. I think they make good transfers like Hugo Rodallega, which is the best one, I think. Very experienced, who knows the league very well. I think it's the reason how Denizlispor is performing right now.
Yeah, I agree with. I'm probably going to echo both of you guys. It was a great game for a neutral viewer, very attacking football. It was nice to see our ex-players do well. I always like to keep up with some of our ex-players. So Rodallega today Rodallega in the match with Umut and with Olcay some of the times. It was a great game. Both of the goals were really, really great. I really can't say like one team deserved it more. Probably Kayseri, but Denizli, as Umut said, did some great transfers. Rodallega is a great person to have at the point of the attack. He pretty much heads every ball. He drops every ball in front of him. So they will probably keep doing this until they might be deferred by injuries or anything. But good game.
Yeah, and Barrow has been the highlight for Denizlispor so far this season, but I really felt like Olcay, with his first performance here for Denizlispor, really put in a decent showing and had an impact and was involved in many of their fluent attacks. Let's move over now to the main event of Saturday. Fenerbahce taking on the struggling Ankara Gücü side, and this match ending 2-1 to Fenerbahce. Dever Urgil had put Ankara Gücü 1-0 ahead in the 16th minute, but Matthias Zanka scored in the 20th minute to make it 1-1 off of a corner. I believe it was from Deniz Türüç. And then in the 73rd minute, Vedat Muric gets on the score sheet again after failing to score in the past two matches. And he puts Fenerbahce 2-1 in front, and he didn't give up that lead anymore. And they, of course, secured 3 points with that. And they edge closer to Alanyaspor because, as we will show later, they didn't win this week for a change. So great result for Fenerbahce getting the home win. Ankara Gücü, they felt really hard done after the match. They felt like the corner leading up to the 1-1 wasn't the corner, which I don't know, maybe they're right, but I wasn't like 100% clear on seeing it in the replay, honestly. So I don't know. And they had some other contentious positions, I guess, but Burak, give us the story of the match in your opinion.
Well, anyone who was watching this match would not have thought that Ankara Gücü were struggling for form or that they had lost 3-0 the previous week, because they actually came out the blocks, fired up like a pit bull, chomping at the bit to eat that bit of meat. I guess it always seems to be the way with teams. They come to Kadıköy and it turns into their cup final, or they up their performance a little bit. So that's something we should be used to. The opening goal by Dever Urgil is just Adil Rami showing that he's not ready for this top flight football. He tried to clear the ball once, it hit an Ankara Gücü player. He tried to clear it again, it hit an Ankara Gücü player. And then from there, it fell into the path of Urgil, who outran both Zanka and Rami. Rami's got no pace anyway, but he managed to outrun Zanka, and a great finish by Urgil, and an even better celebration. I think all the judges gave him 10 for that one. But be careful, you might do yourself a bother with your shins, Urgil, when you're doing that. But then
very bad for the back.
Yes,
doing that, by the way.
Exactly. But credit to Fenerbahce, they kept their heads up. They started the game trying to soak up a little bit of the pressure, Gustavo was making a good impression in the midfield. Lots of passing, build-up play, which was good to see. I think he's a good imposing figure in that central midfield. He looks very slender and slight, but he's got that look about him. He's very strong. He's got a good engine, good set of lungs, and I don't think it was a corner that led to our goal. I don't think it came off an Ankara player. So we got a bit lucky with that one. And the ball came in, I think the keeper flapped. Zanka went up for a header, and he just ended up in the right place at the right time. A good finish from a centre-back. So you'd expect a lot of centre-backs to potentially just sky that ball. But, he produced a good finish. And after that, the team gained a little bit more confidence playing through midfield. We had a few good chances. Cruiser, who was having a decent game, cut inside on his left foot and put the ball just slightly right with his right. That was unfortunate. I think Tolga Ciğerci had a shot as well.
Two or so good opportunities, I think Tolga did. And Cruiser, has he scored yet? I mean, I think he got a 5th assist here, but I don't think he scored yet, has he?
He's not scored yet, so he's got 5 assists because he's got 4 assists from open play and he was fouled for a penalty. So there's some debate as to whether that counts as an assist or not. Okay. So he 4 clear-cut assists and he was fouled for a penalty, which we won. So depending on what side of the fence you're on, we'll call it 4 for argument's sake. So that's a decent return.
Statistically 4, but there's definitely some merit to winning a penalty that ends up winning you the match. But obviously for me, I was at another wedding this weekend. I did not watch this match. My cousin got married this weekend, so I missed the match. Nadim, my good friend, messaged me after or during the game, and he was absolutely upset about the refereeing. So what else happened in this match outside that contentious corner? Is there anything else that happened where Ankara may have felt hard done by? You'll have to hold my hand here a little bit because I didn't watch the game, and in highlights you can't see stuff like that. So is there anything else then?
I think the only thing that they feel that they could be hard done by is I think they feel they should have had a penalty in the opening stages of the match. It's where Olga was running into the box shoulder to shoulder with Zanka, and what happened was there was a little bit of contact, a little bit of linking of the arms, like they'll go do like a old do-si-do, cowboy style, and then they both tumbled to the floor. So I think
that was at 0-0 or at 1-0?
That was at 0-0. Yeah. That was at 0-0, so I think that's the position they kind of feel a little bit hard done by. I think they feel in this 92nd minute, Vedat jumped up and handled the ball deep into the Ankara half, which was stupid. So that really should have been a yellow card. I don't know what he's thinking doing that there.
I saw that clip, by the way. Someone sent it, was basically playing volleyball, but I wasn't quite clear on the fact on when he handled, because he was on near the touchline. When he handled the ball, wasn't he actually outside already?
See, that's contentious, but just to keep people happy, I'm saying he should have had a yellow card. So,
well, for me, I don't know. I mean, completely out of context. I didn't, like I said again, I didn't watch it live. From just watching that clip, it kind of just felt like me, he's trying to catch it for the throw-in or something. I don't know. It just, could have been. I don't know.
Could have been outlean because he's got quite a long arm, but I think Vedat was definitely the man of the match for us. He's ever on a pitch, his battling spirit. He actually forced us to win the ball back before we scored our second goal. And this was the tale of the left-footers. So we eventually wonder what is going to happen when eventually the midfield 3 is made up of Emre, Gustavo and Max Cruiser. And we found out just before the second goal, because Vedat Muric put some pressure on the Ankara defender, and the ball ends up going to Luis Gustavo. Gustavo, left foot pass to Emre. Emre, left foot through ball over the top to Max Cruiser. Mad Max runs down the pitch, sends Hassan to the butt goal for a hot dog, cuts inside on his right foot, pings it into Vedat, who just deftly finishes it with a left foot side foot volley. And for some reason, the Fenerbahce Stadium has now got flares and pyro like we have in the WWE or an NFL game. So when we score, all these flames come out from the stadium.
Is that legal?
It must be, something. And then, Tolga had a good shot. Dindjer, which Korcan saved really well. So a really hard-fought 3 points. Ankara Gücü gave us a really tough game, but I think it showed some great strength of character in the team to try and defend after going 2-1 up, because the defence is still absolutely shocking and worries me ahead of the derby next week. But going forward, we created so many chances, and we probably should have had a few more. Korcan made some really good saves, and I think Max and Tolga, if they could have got their shots on target, could have formed a little bit of more trouble for Korcan, and we could have won. But 3 points, good performance, Vedat back on the score sheet, playing like an absolute tank, and apparently scouts from Juventus are coming to watch him next week in the derby game. So let's hope he performs well.
Yeah, it kind of fits that Mandzukic profile, I guess, and they might be wanting to replace him. Also quite impressed by Tolga Ziric's re-emergence after 1.5 seasons or something of injury, basically. Hasn't played football in over a year, and now he's playing at a very high level, I feel like. He's very useful for Fenerbahce, getting in scoring positions. He had that really good season for Galatasaray 2 years ago, I think, where he scored quite a bunch of goals in the first half of the season under Igor Tudor. And he's kind of refining that form, it feels like. Guys, let's move on. Yakup, anything to add?
No, not really. As a Trabzonspor fan, I don't really watch Fenerbahce games because I'm pretty sure that my fan card will be, revoked. But
you have to watch. You have to watch to find all the controversial stuff and cry on Twitter about it for 5 days.
I don't really care about. I heard the commotion about it not being a corner. I saw the highlight. It didn't look like a corner to me, and I looked at a quick highlight of the game, and I really like how Ozan is starting to play like his old self again, after being memed and insulted on Twitter and everything. I'm really happy that he's finally back to his old form, but otherwise, not really much to add, to be honest.
I think look. Nadim obviously listens to the show too, and he's obviously our expert when it comes to Ankara Gücü, so I'm sure he's listening to it. So I just want to have my quick say on it. When I saw it from the replay, it kind of felt like I wasn't even sure if either it was a really poor, whatever that was, cross or shot from Ozan, or it took a deflection on the guy's shin, that's where I'm like, I'm not really sure. I've watched it multiple times, and I'm like, I don't really see a deflection, so it's probably not a corner. But the thing is, VAR cannot intervene on a corner. So in a split decision, when it comes from the linesman or from the ref, I can see why they gave a corner there, even though it's not. I mean, that kind of stuff happens all the time, and it's not really there. Well, obviously, I mean, it's... Look, when you're struggling, like Ankara Gücü or like Beşiktaş are, every wrong decision by the ref that impacts you negatively it hurts double as much as it would otherwise. But it feels like a little bit much. I mean, I don't think it's an atrociously scandalous decision, and I think you see those types of corners all the time in games where teams just get these. Yeah, lucky corner, so to speak, but it's up to Korcan, who completely went under the ball and fucked it up. And I mean, if he doesn't do that, I don't think they score.
Yeah, it's a lucky corner, just like Galatasaray got last season against us. So it just happens sometimes, and sometime I'd say probably if it happens 100 times, probably 90 times nothing comes from it. That's a completely made up statistic, and we just got lucky in the fact that it worked out to our advantage. So someone must have kissed or rubbed a rabbit's foot that morning.
The luck of the...
I don't know.
The would-be champions, maybe. Umut, anything to add?
Well, I want to talk about Fenerbahce's situation without Emre, because I think they're lacking some creativity without him. I know he's old and he's a gem and a diamond in the squad, and I know Ersun Yanal doesn't want to risk him, probably saving him for the derby. And I know this is what Emre would want more than anything in the world, to face Galatasaray as a player once again. And you cannot use him in every game, risking him because of his old age. But he could have used him earlier in the starting squad, because the opponent also has basically Sedat Ağaçay, who is the same age as Emre Belözoğlu. But Arsenal didn't want to risk him and put Tolga Ciğerci. I know he's more energetic, but the creativity-wise, Fenerbahçe struggled in the earlier stages of the game. And also, it's unfortunate that Max Kruse couldn't find a net, despite having more assists than any other player in the league right now. He's making consecutive assists in every other game, which is great, but I hope he'll find the net after a while.
You should hope he doesn't.
I'm not Yakup kind of fan, to be honest, but...
Well, yeah, he definitely deserves to get on the score sheet. He's, like Burak has said a couple times, he may not always be playing the best football, but he's getting those crucial assists. And here today, I mean, in this match, I think he had a good game.
And he was free as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's move over to Sunday then. Rizespor losing at home against Gazişehir 1-2. Gazişehir continuing their winning ways. I believe it's 3 wins, a draw, and a loss for Gazişehir in their 5 matches. So at least my prediction on them has come to fruition thus far, with them being a little bit of a sleeper team. Goals here coming from Muhammed Dindjer in the 12th minute, and then again Patrick Toumassi in the 16th minute to make it 0-2. So quick succession goals for Gazişehir, kind of catching Rizespor off guard. And then it took Rizespor until the 65th minute to get on the score sheet via Brian Samudio in the to make it 1-2. Rizespor also had 2 goals disallowed, one in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. In the first half, which I kind of felt like was a little harsh for a foul during a carambol-like situation. I really didn't see anything there, really. And then the second goal was disallowed for offside, if I'm not mistaken. That was a correct decision. Yakup, any notes?
I'm happy that a team like Gazişehir is doing well, you know. Again, like I said, like 5 minutes ago, it's always nice to see some old players of ours doing well. Gazişehir having Mohamed and Güray in the attacking force. Mohamed finally scoring after he didn't score for us like in 40 games or something. The second goal was by let me check just to be sure, by Toumassi. What a beauty! That was a really good goal. It was a really nice goal. I think that first half, if you look at the first half, Gazişehir deserved the win, but second half really piled on. Unfortunately, they got a goal disallowed in the first half. That, as you said, was a carambol situation. But I think the referee saw a handball of a player that fell down and got the ball stuck to his arm or something. And with the second goal being offside, there might have been, Rizespor deserved maybe a draw because they were the better team in the second half. But as the Göztepe game, it was a really good game for the neutral viewer, a really attacking game.
The Dindjer game, I think you mean.
Oh, the Dindjer game, yeah. And let's see how far Gazişehir takes this.
Yeah, felt like one of those matches where I think they could have gotten a point Rizespor on another day. Burak, any notes? What did you think of the carambol disallowed goal?
I think that was the correct decision. It looked like it did hit a player's hand on the floor. So it's really tough in those type of carambol areas when you've got players on the floor that are trying to move their bodies around to either shield the ball or get over the top of it. But unfortunately, it did hit a Rizespor player's arm, so that was the correct decision. And also the second disallowed goal, it was a free kick. I'm not sure if the Rizespor player got a touch on the ball, but even if he didn't, he was definitely interfering with play, because it was one of those free kicks that went straight in and missed everyone. So even if he had got the slightest of touches, it was offside. And even if he didn't, he was pretty much in front of the goalkeeper, causing an interference as well. Please check out Toumassi's goal. He's got no right to be scoring from that angle. It was like shot power 99 on Pro Evo. And it was funny, I saw a quote from the Gaziantep manager as well, Samudika, saying, I play 3-5-2, and he's saying I'm the Antonio Conte of Turkey, because that's what Chelsea played in their championship winning season under Antonio Conte. So he's a character, and his team has got character as well. So I'm looking forward to them causing a lot more upsets and surprises this season, and it's almost like it's kamikaze football sometimes, but they've got such pace and power going forward with their signings who appear to be gelling now as well. And if they can produce like shots like that, they're going to cause a lot of trouble for teams on the road and at home.
Yeah, honestly, I think if they would have faced Fenerbahce a couple of weeks later, they probably would not have lost as badly for sure, and maybe not lost at all, because they've been good. Yeah, let's move over to the next one. Gençlerbirliğ facing league leaders Alanyaspor. This one ended 1-1. Goals here coming from Bogdan Stanku from the penalty spot in the 45th minute to put Gençlerbirliğ 1-0 up, but Ceyhun Gülselam scored in the 66th minute on a corner to make it 1-1. Alanyaspor with their first loss of points, of course. Now they are on 13 points out of 5 games. But all in all, no man overboard. They had a great start to the season. Burak, what did you think of this game?
Well, for me, it's good to see Alanya drop points, of course, because we're trying to catch them at the top of the league. But I thought Gençlerbirliğ, they did put in a really good shift of football. They were a bit tricky in and around the box. It was a definite penalty, I think, against them. So no issues there in regards to that. But then Alanya showed that strength of character again that they've shown when they played and beat us last week. So I think Erol Bulut is doing a good job there, taking over from Sergen's handiwork. Of course, Ceyhun Gülselam, blast from the pass, popping up with his goal in the 66th minute with the assist on Juan Fran. I just think it was a well contested game, and it shows, I think, a little bit about how you can potentially play against Alanya, and if you take the fight to them, press them high up the pitch, and maybe even be a little bit more physical than other teams are, you're going to cause them some problems. It did get a bit tasty, as we know. A few tough challenges flying in. I think there were some people that were maybe lucky to receive yellows and not reds. I think there was the number 10, I think, from Alanyaspor that had a high foot going into a challenge.
Junior
but
Fernandes?
I believe that's one, yeah. But to me, that would have been harsh to give him a red. I think it was definitely reckless, but I don't think it was dangerous. So, having looked at the rules, the UEFA rules, and of course being a man of the law, I was happy with the yellow card awarded. But yeah, and Cisse popped up towards the end, a good chance to finish it, but he just didn't bring his shooting boots this week, unfortunately. That could have so easily been 2-1, and he could have gone to 6 goals of the season.
Yeah, he came off a defender's back, I think, at first, and then he found his way to get a shot off, and was unfortunate not to score, if that's the one you're talking about. Yakup or Umut, anything to add, or shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, unlike Burak, I think the penalty call was a controversial one, because when Stanku took the ball and dribbled past the Alanyaspor defender, I think there's just a slight contact. I don't think which can make Stanku fall like that, because when you watch it from VAR review, you got the slower vision, a slower version of the position, and you don't interpret the same way when you watch it the open play in a faster version. I don't know if Burak watched it in a slow motion or the regular one, but I think the penalty call couldn't be given in some sort of ways. Other than that, Alanyaspor was playing really well in these past weeks, and this week Ceyhun Gülselam saved the point by the set piece they had, and I like their play style because they have talented backs, especially Juan Fran, who really balanced out the defense and the offense at all times, and really talented attacking players communicating really well with each other, like Fernandes and Papis Demba Cisse, who has Premier League experience from time. I think they'll be going successful.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that both Cisse and Demba Ba are now playing in the Turkish league, because they used to form that royal couple at Newcastle many years ago. But yeah, of course, yeah, we've said it before. Alanyaspor have a very fun team, and definitely could be in contention for a European spot, especially if we see how the other so-called contenders are performing this season. Yakup, nothing to add?
No, not really. I agree with Umut that I thought that it wasn't a penalty, but otherwise, not much to add, to be honest.
Okay, let's move over to the main event on Sunday evening, which was Yeni Malatyaspor Galatasaray. This one ended 1-1. John Michael Seri getting Galatasaray in front in the 23rd minute. And yeah, it took quite a while before that second goal in the match would come. That came in the 89th minute through Guilherme, and Galatasaray, I think, will feel hard done by that. They did have chances to make it too. Malatyaspor found their chances towards the end of the match mainly, but at that point I think it should have always been 2-0 for Galatasaray, and they lose points again. Their second draw, if I'm not mistaken, and of course they have a loss and 2 wins, so 2 draws, 2 wins, and the loss for them in their opening 5 matches. Umut, your feelings on the match? Was it a correct result, and who's to blame, if anyone?
Well, I think the first one to blame is Fatih Terim for leaving the team alone at times in these crucial times of the league. And all these away games, which are really hard, because Malatya away is a hard game every year. And playing against Sergen is especially hard as well. The pitch was really heavy because it wasn't as good as Ali Samian or any other stadium. So you cannot throw away your talent players like Jimmy Durmaz or Emre Mor, or even Adem Büyük struggle to play, because it's hard to dribble or put up your skill on the field in that kind of pitch, in that kind of situation. So Galatasaray struggled to create some kind of things on the field in the earlier stages of the game, and Malatyaspor came time and time, but fortunately we had Muslera. Just like the Brugge game, he saved millions of goals, which I can say, because I think he saved around, let me look, he made 3 saves, which are really crucial ones. But I think it was firstly Nagatomo to blame because of his offensive deficiency and lack of creativity on the field, on the left side, because whenever we come from the left, it's always blocked, it's always finished our attacking play. We never go through the defense with Nagatomo because he's not the kind of player we used to have. At the time we had Riera, who can cross really well or dribble all the way. But Nagatomo is not that kind of player, so we have some struggles. And Ryan Babel is not getting any younger, and he's not actually energetic on the field as he used to be. Because of that, we struggle to build up our play from the left side. And different from the Brugge game, we started with Ömer Bayram on the middle and Andone up on the front. And I really liked Andone's challenges and his sacrifice to the game, because he tried his really everything to get through the game. He even came close to a goal, but missed some kind of opportunities. And Seri, even though he's little height, he scored a really good header to Malatya goal. But after that, I don't know who made the change. If it's Levent Şahin or the Fatih Terim called them. Maybe it's Fatih Terim. And Nagatomo came off, and Ömer Bayram went to the left side, left back for the second half, and Lemina was put in on the field. But I didn't like his performance until now, because he tries to do something, but he always fails to do the better thing, which would be more efficient for the team. But he just, I think, wants to show off something. I don't know what he's after, but what he did at 89th minute caused us points, brought Malatyaspor a goal with a free kick set piece on the middle of the field because of the foul Lemina caused. And Babal's recklessness after the second half caused us lots of goals, because he was just open and could score the goal, but he decided to pass it to Lemina, and the goal was screwed. Just we were like 5-1 in that attack, and we couldn't score the goal. Then Jimmy Durmaz went in to find a goal, but as I said earlier, this kind of fields doesn't like these kind of skilled men. So Jimmy Durmaz was a bad move for us. And
you need some power play in these types of matches.
Ryan Dock kind of players would be needed in that kind of pitch to hold up the play and play safely. However, we didn't do it, and after conceding the goal, Levent Şahin decided to put Falcao in, which was should be ashamed of it, because what would Falcao do in that 2 minutes of play to create a goal? Like, I don't know what he was after. You should have thought it earlier.
Hope for a lucky ball like against Kayseri.
I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't seem realistic to me. It doesn't seem like a realistic move to me. And putting Andone off caused us the goal, I think, because it's like an unwritten football law, which you take off your target man who starts to pressure up the front, and you get the pressure yourself. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Umut. Did you feel like the rotation to rotate Falcao out was the right decision? We spoke about, in our group, we spoke about Trabzonspor's issues, maybe their injuries coming due to fixture congestion, not rotating. Did you feel like starting Radamel Falcao on the bench was the right decision? And do you feel like he should have come on earlier, perhaps, if he started on the bench? Or should he have stayed on the bench for the full match if Galatasaray didn't need a goal?
Well, firstly, I don't think it's a bad move to play Andone in the starting lineup, because he needs to heat up as well to play for the full season, and he wants to play because he was in a punishment fine after his tackle earlier on in the Premiership. He was suspended for like 3 games, and one of the games came to the Super League and he couldn't play. So I think Fatih Terim wanted to see his performance as well, but putting Falcao in this last 2 minutes is a disgrace. I mean, you should have put him earlier, or you don't put him. Because the reason I think Levent Şahin put him on the field for the last 2 minutes, because he brought Andone off earlier on.
Yeah, obviously.
I think all decisions sucks. Yeah,
I get it.
Also, Ömer Bayram played really good on the central position, but his older position, left back, he had some positional issues where he couldn't anticipate where to stand or where to wait, and he sometimes broken the offside line, caused us some positions back there.
Okay. Then finally, correct decision, correct score line. Did Malatyaspor deserve a point?
Yeah, definitely. They played really well.
Okay. Burak, anything to add?
Nothing, not much. I mean, I managed to catch quite a bit of this game. I think Galatasaray had definitely a few chances to finish the game off when it was still at 1-0, especially a chance that Ryan Babel had where he tried to play it into the path of, I think, either Nzonzi or Lamina. Lamina just overhit his pass, and he could have either shot himself or he could have just played a better pass. I think that happens, that goes in, that's 2-0, that's game, set and match, it's over. There was the position with the potential penalty on Andone as well, where the mistake by the Malatyaspor goalkeeper, he sticks his leg out. Yes, and I think if Andone goes down, that's a penalty. Because he was an honest player, he stayed on his feet to try and go after the ball. It wasn't a penalty. Now, I've seen lots of debate online saying, well, it doesn't matter if he didn't go down, it should be a penalty. They mentioned a similar situation where Salah was having his shirt pulled, and the ref gave a penalty for that, despite Salah staying on his feet. I'm not sure if those are the same kind of position, a shirt being tugged and a player held back, and a player having his leg tapped, but then running through. So I think they'll be having a word with Andone in the back, saying next time go down.
I think he was too eager to score that.
Yeah, like I say, he was too much of a battler. He should have been a little bit more kurnaz, like a fox.
Definitely.
Like they say.
Perhaps it's like you said earlier, I think pulling the shirt is always a foul. But it's a contact sport, so when it comes to normal physical contact, like here, maybe the logic is, well, there's always going to be some touching. Don't mind me. Yakup, anything to add?
No, I think Umut summarized it pretty well. I just think it's really dumb. It's really insulting to put a player like Falcao in the 90th minute. And this game was pretty much the example to show people when you talk about the Turkish tradition of atamana atarlar. Galatasaray should have scored a lot more in the first half, and it just bit them in the ass in the second half. I think the problem with Galatasaray at the moment is they really have a lot of good players. They brought in a lot of good players, and they are kind of suffering from having to play everyone. You can't keep everyone happy, and Fatih Terim is normally the person that can keep the egos down. But I just think with those amount of players and the amount of matches that they are going to play, they just have to rotate a bit more. I think maybe sometimes, because you see that when players like Lemina, who I didn't like in the last couple of matches that I watched him, he wasn't that good. It just seems to me that the players have a mindset of just let me get my minutes and let me do my best to stay in the game, and it kind of works against Galatasaray at the moment. As Umut said, with Fatih Terim gone for a couple of matches, it's kind of a difficult position they are in, even with the talent that they have. But I see them turning out well. I don't think that Umut has to worry about anything about the team.
And let's stick with you, Yakup, because let's move on to Monday. And there was the Sivasspor against Trabzonspor match, which we'll start off with. This one ending 2-1 for Sivasspor, with the goals here coming from Donis Avdijaj in the 3rd minute, scoring, making it 1-0 for Trabzonspor. So that was a good start for Trabzonspor. But then in the 41st minute, Fernando Andrade scored the equalizer for Sivasspor. And in the second half, Alexander Surlov misses a penalty for Trabzonspor. And in the 6th minute of added time, Uğur Çiftçi clinches it for the home side, Sivasspor. Yakup, you must be left with a major hangover after such a result, giving away the lead, giving away a potential win with missing a penalty, another missed penalty for Trabzonspor. That's not going well for them this season, and then to lose it, adding insult to injury in injury time.
Yeah, I was I was with a friend of mine, and we were going to watch the match. But him being a Beşiktaş fan, and me being a Trabzonspor fan, I watched this game on my phone, and he watched it on the screen. Yeah, just I'm just a good friend. Just remember that.
Yeah, you really are, apparently.
But it got me pissed off because when I started the match, I was really happy that the team started. It seemed to recover from the Getafe game. They seem to have played, uh, with Unal Karaman probably giving a shouting to the players like, "Come on, what the hell are you doing? You're better than this." They finally looked like the team that I'm used to. Avdic is finally on the score sheet. I'm not a big fan of him, to be honest. He seems a lot of players, a lot of people that I talked to have claimed that he's really a raw talent. You just have to inspire him to do better. But he really seems one-sided at the moment. He doesn't really have he sometimes gets past his defender, but he doesn't really have the skill to finish it or to do the right thing. But it was good to see him finally get on the score sheet. As for the goal that Sivas scored, it's unfortunate to see Uğurcan making mistakes like this. We finally broke open his contract this weekend, a couple days ago, and we signed him for a longer period of time. And he is a really good keeper. I'm not saying that he's a bad keeper, but it's kind of reminding me of when Onur started to be our first keeper. It are the mistakes that he saves. He saves pretty much impossible goals. He saves the goals that a different keeper would have gone in.
Yeah, typical Turkish goalkeeper.
Yeah, but when it comes to the most basic
the
things,
simple stuff.
Yeah, the simple stuff. They just the mistake after mistake. And today's goal, the first goal that Sivas scored, was pretty much on Uğurcan. He shouldn't have come out of his goal that far. It was kind of the same that happened with the Getafe game. I got angry. To be honest, I got angry after the first half, and I was like, "Fuck it, let me just watch the Beşiktaş game." But I did watch like the last 20 minutes. It's unfortunate that we fucking find. I'm sorry for cursing a lot. I'm just angry a bit. The game just ended. I'm just angry that we missed the penalty. We seem to have lost a dedicated player that can make the penalties. We used to have Burak, but Burak got into trouble. It's so sad that Burak being Burak, he got into trouble with pretty much everything. So we didn't have the first choice penalty taker, and after seeing Sørloth score one last week, I think probably thought like this guy actually can hit the goal, but Jinx, it didn't. A lot of people online are crying about how the keeper of Sivasspor was off his line before Sørloth took the penalty, and how the players of Sivasspor got into the box before he took the penalty. What I said last week about Fenerbahce, I don't want this precedent to be set where we overanalyze every referee mistake and go to the football federation and keep complaining. I know it has a purpose, but he should have buried that man. As for the second goal, yeah, and with that goal, I think that Uğurcan did what he could, but a good finish from the player from Sivasspor. Let me just take from Kone, Uğur Çiftçi. As in Trabzonspor fashion, we just we conceded the last second of added time. But the team, I'm really happy with Mikel. He seems to finally regain his own his old performance. He was really, really great. Sosa is really struggling at the moment. Sosa being my favorite player is kind of hard to see.
Maybe just too many games. He's 34 years old.
Yeah, he really needs a week of rest. But we don't really have any players that can take his position and do the same stuff that he does. Otherwise, Abdülkadir Parmak, good game. I really liked our defense. I think that Hosseini should be talked about a lot more by other fans. He doesn't really get recognized a lot, and he doesn't really get props for what he does. But I don't know, man. With the Beşiktaş game next week, I have a feeling that I'm going to repeat myself. But
You have nothing to worry about.
No, but I know that pretty much every derby game that Trabzonspor has is always a really fun game. So I really can't wait, because I have a feeling that the Galatasaray-Fenerbahce game is really going to be awful, like the last 20 years or
like
so.
It usually is.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
So, a quick question, because I was watching the Besiktas game. The penalty, I didn't see it. Did it get saved by the goalkeeper, or?
No, it was just next to the post. It was shot good, but it was just next to the post.
Then there's nothing to complain about.
Yeah, and even if it was on target, the keeper chose the right corner, so he probably would have caught it anyway.
Yeah. Well, the question is then, did he have one foot on the line, or were both feet off the line?
If I remember correctly, both feet were off the line.
Yeah. If he saves it, then you probably get to take it again. But because he puts it wide, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, I'm not the person that complains about stuff like that. You know, you just have to finish the game. You have to win it without having to search the whole game.
Sometimes a big mistake can happen that really impacts the game negatively. Let's say here, the goalkeeper had both his feet off the line, and he saved the penalty. Then I think VAR needs to interfere.
Yeah, I agree. But you can't just go back with every single position that was ruled wrongly. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, he puts it wide anyway, so...
Yeah.
It's his own fault. Umut, anything to add about this match?
Well, I watched the Besiktas game, so...
Okay, well, let's move over to that match then, the Besiktas game. This one ending, against Başakşehir here, ending 1-1. Goals here coming from Enzo Crivelli in the 54th minute and Burak Yilmaz from the penalty spot in the 84th minute. Yeah, another very good game, I think, for either side. I didn't think that either team played a good game. Besiktas were just woeful. Not much, really. I think the main issue for Besiktas right now, in this match mainly, I think it was the formation 4-3-3 with Laiç playing left central mids and Doğukan playing right center mid. The midfield was never really involved. I think Abdullah should have shifted to a 4-2-3-1 here to get both Atiba and Doğukan more involved in the physical battles in midfield. Besiktas were just seemingly just skipping midfield constantly, playing lots of long balls, hoping that Nkudu would do something magical on the left wing. He had one really good moment where he passed Kaysara and then ran into the box, and then he just did something stupid. I don't know. Nkudu, to me, it feels like he's got the skill on the ball, he's got the speed, but then as soon as he gets into that box, he just kind of loses it. And he has talent. There's something there, possibly. If he could have, a little bit of coolness, a little bit of composure, know how to pick up a player in the box when he manages to pass his man, he could be a really dangerous player. But right now, he's just not getting into that. I'm not sure if he's ever gonna. He does seem to miss something like that. I think there was a very big decision towards the end of the first half where I really think Douglas got super lucky. The referee, Douglas and Gulbrandsen, I think it was, were both like kind of shoulder to shoulder, and Douglas has his arm over Gulbrandsen's shoulder. They're kind of tugging at each other, but to me, Douglas is making more of a fall than Gulbrandsen is doing. That's a last man position.
Off, do you think?
For me, I think it's a red card. The referee gives the fall against Gulbrandsen and then immediately blows his whistle for half time. That also means the VAR can't do anything, so that's interesting. I think that the referee felt a lot of pressure because he had shown Burak Yilmaz a very soft yellow card. Then after that, he had shown Laiç a yellow card. I think he had the crowd against him. I think he lost his composure. To me, I think the yellow cards for Burak especially was very harsh. The one for Laiç, I think Laiç was fault and was frustrated or something. I don't know, but there I felt like the ref was kind of being an ass. But then for the Douglas position, he was being a coward because I think it's a red card. And I think if that's an away game, he wouldn't hesitate, but I think he didn't dare to pull the red. Then in the second half, I think there's a similar position with Mert, but for me, I wasn't sure. Umut, you seem to think it was a red card for Mert. The penalty to me felt soft, but I didn't really.
He's pulling the shirt off, man. How
yeah,
is it
but
so?
I couldn't properly see it because they didn't give a proper close up. It was all like, from far distance. So I don't know. Maybe I guess it was. Everyone's saying it was a clear penalty, so I guess it was. The goal from Başakşehir, I felt it was offside, but then I guess it took a deflection, and then I think it was onside anyway.
Left back breaks it down.
Yeah, but all in all, I didn't feel like it was a good game for either side. Beşiktaş created nothing. I think they had one shot from Burak that was decent, but he did that himself. They created absolutely nothing. Başakşehir didn't really create anything either. I was worried going into this match. Obviously, Beşiktaş were without Domagoj Vida due to his red card from last week suspended. Victor Ruiz got injured against Slovan Bratislava. He's out for about a month. And then Enzo Rocco got injured last week during training, so he's out too. So Beşiktaş were playing with a makeshift defense with Gökhan Gönül playing a central defender and Necip. I think both of them had a really good game. I didn't think that defensively Beşiktaş looked bad, except for that one moment with Douglas and a couple of poor clearances from Douglas in the first half early on. But all in all, I think Beşiktaş played a decent defensive game, but just in terms of build-up, in terms of attack, it was just woeful. And this was not an inspiring result heading into next week's away match against Trabzonspor. Adem Laic also getting his 4th yellow card in his 5th match, so he will be suspended against Trabzonspor. No Laic. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing right now. He's really been playing poorly.
I think you should be happy about that.
Yeah, but then we don't have anyone to replace him really. Oğuzhan, I guess, when he came in, he kind of gave a spark. He's been injured. He got injured 2 weeks ago or something, and then he missed the Gaziantep game or the Gazişehir game, missed the Slovan Bratislava game, but he looked decent here, so hopefully he can come back. We'll really need him. I think Laic is really struggling with the fact that he's in this 4-3-3, he's playing quite far away from the goal. I think Laic is a guy that is in his best when he's close to the goal, where he can, control the ball quickly, try to find a pass. But what we're trying now with this 4-3-3, with him playing a little bit more out left, he's having to collect the ball really close to the midline. He's having to make a lot of meters with the ball at his feet. That's not really his strength. He's a good dribbler, but that's not really his strength. I think, poor form in combination with just kind of being played out of position. I think Avci probably should have considered switching to a 4-2-3-1 rather than sticking to his 4-3-3, but yeah, I don't know.
How do you consider the fact that Abdullah Avcı failing to beat his team, which we can call his team, Başakşehir, which he also took whole majority of his career basically to form up piece by piece in years, and couldn't beat the team he built in years?
Yeah, it depends on what he has available to him.
Yeah, but I know, but
how do you dismantle? Look at what for the past months, Başakşehir have been struggling with the fact that Epriano wasn't there. They have been their main issue has been defensively. I think today they had their ideal defensive back four. Kaitsara played a good game. Who played on the other side? Of course, Clichy, and then they had Skirtel and Epriano at the back. So defensively, I think they had their ideal composition for the first time in months. In midfield, they had their ideal composition, and up top they had I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Gulbrandsen, but I think Beşiktaş went into this match with a lot of. They have been players. The entire they missed so many things, and I think in the beginning of the season it was clear that the thing what Beşiktaş were lacking most were just some components. But right now, I think because of the poor start to the season, even though that Burak got added again, which should have changed something for them, but of course hasn't played no match rhythm, and then to immediately come up against Epriano and Skirtel is a tall order. So I wouldn't. And I think he was decent all in all, considering that he didn't get a single useful ball basically, and still managed to get a penalty and create a chance for himself. And I mean, in that context, I think it was okay. But Avcı not being able to beat his former team, I wouldn't really. I think so far Avci has not that much blame, because I think right now the result is a little bit, there's frustration among the players, which you can see because of it not going well. But again, the ideal 11 is far from where I think ideally Beşiktaş's midfield would be Elneny, Laiç, Oğuzhan. I think it's the ideal midfield, and obviously at the back, a very important player for Beşiktaş in terms of build-up is Victor Ruiz. He wasn't there today. That was a big miss. Vida is not that important in the build-up, so that's not that big. But I don't know. Beşiktaş it's not clicking. It's not meshing. I don't really think there's much the coach can do, because he's working what he has available to him right now, and it's up to the players on the pitch. Like I said, I do think the 4-3-3 is harming Laiç's ability to play to his full potential, but he should be able to do more than what he has been doing so far, despite the fact that he has statistically had a decent start to the season. But when it comes to actual play, I don't think so. Let's talk about Douglas and his position. I think we are probably in agreement.
Yeah, definitely.
Red card.
Yeah,
Yakup,
definitely.
for you too.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
do you think the Gulbransen's tackle, I don't know to who, but literally took the player's shoe off, could be booked?
Not sure. I think I missed that. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't
I
remember.
think it was
that
against Douglas or Rebocho.
No, Robocho wasn't playing. So
No, it was against Douglas. It literally was from the back and to the Achilles, and took the shoe off the player and wasn't even booked.
no, I missed it. I'm afraid. I did think the referee was pretty poor. By the way, I think overall he didn't have a good game. I think obviously Douglas, that should have been red. And then there's the other big decision that Umut, you said you felt was a red card for Mert.
Yeah, Burak was receiving a through ball to the back of the defense, and he was going, and Mert rushed out out of the box, and he literally misses the ball and goes into Burak, and Burak fell down, but nothing given.
But is Burak looking for the contact, or do you feel like Mert just clipped him? Because one of my Beşiktaş friends said that Burak actually
Mert
clipped
misses the
Mert.
ball.
Yeah.
I think
He should be touching the ball. Otherwise, he just drops Burak off on the ground. So
Yeah, I think that I'm looking at the position right now, and Mert doesn't really he misjudges how far the ball will come. So Burak sees that and he slows down a bit. But I don't think
looking for the contact.
So
Yeah,
no,
he
he
not really
misses the
looking.
ball and puts Burak into a disadvantageous position.
Yeah, but the defenders were there, so if a foul was given, it wouldn't be a red, it would be a yellow.
I think, but it wasn't even booked.
Yeah, that's really weird.
It is
But
very similar to the previously we talked that Utku Yuvakuran and Can Armel Drol's position.
Yeah,
No,
like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I
know
know,
what
but yeah, it is similar to that.
You know what it is? I think that because Burak has a reputation of being
Yeah.
that guy that always falls, he will never get the positive. He will always be in the bad side of the referee, and you can if you look at the position in slow motion and like 4 different angles, you can probably say like, nah, this he's looking for contact, but it's happening really fast. But it's really weird that he didn't give a foul or anything at all. So I agree with you, Umut.
It's funny that Burak played on all teams, like for Yakup's team, for Kaan's team, and for my team, and so we are all aware and we all know his manner in that kind of positions.
I mean,
that's
you love
why-
him. You love him when he's with you, but you hate
Yeah,
everything about him when
definitely.
he's
Yeah,
gone.
it's a fact.
That's why I was kind of like, because Umut was very adamant that that should be a red card. And at first, I think Yakup is right in the fact that the defenders were kind of still there. Although I guess you could say, look, if Burak gets beside him, it's empty net and it's a goal. So it's a.
I don't really.
But I don't
the
think
net
it's
is
a
basically
red
empty
card,
because you cannot take the position like the last defender kind of position. It's not similar, I think, because the goal is empty.
Yeah. And then finally, I think the other big decision is the penalty, but we already spoke about that. You guys seem to both agree it's a penalty.
Yeah, it's a definite pull.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a penalty, yeah.
So 1-1 for Beşiktaş. Doesn't really help them. 5 points in 5 games. Their worst start to the season since 2001, when they got 4 points in 5 games. They did end that season in a positive way, though, by almost challenging for the title. But I remember that was like one of my first real full seasons I watched. I think like in matchday 30, Beşiktaş were hopeful, and then they played Galatasaray at the Ali Samiyen. And I think Ilhan hit the post in the first half, 1-on-1 with Mondragon, and then Flurkin scored, or Sebastian Perez scored, I think.
Yeah, Perez, it was Perez.
Perez scored a header, I believe, in the second half, and Galatasaray won 1-0, I guess. So I remember that. That's one of my first very vivid memories of a complete disillusion of losing the title that we were always on the back foot for. But Beşiktaş with a terrible start to the season. Başakşehir not much better of a start, honestly. So yeah, let's
revenge, but that by that Sergen Tümer, Sergen attı şampiyonluk geldi.
Yeah, indeed. Let's take a quick look at the standings then in the Turkish Super League after match day 5. Alanyaspor obviously still in first position with 13 points. Fenerbahçe and Gazişehir both in second position with 10 points, but Fenerbahçe have a +5 goal differential, and of course also head-to-head with Gazişehir. They have a better result, so they're in second position and Gazişehir in third. Then in fourth position we have Denizlispor, and in fifth position we have Rizespor, and we also have Sivasspor and Galatasaray on sixth and seventh position. All of those teams are on 8 points. Then let's look at the bottom of the table. We have in the bottom three Kasımpaşa, Kayserispor, and Gençlerbirliği. Gençlerbirliği are on 2 points, Kayseri on 3, and Kasımpaşa on 4. I have to say I am really surprised by the fact that Kayseri are among the bottom 3, because I really feel like Kayseri have been good so far, despite having so few points, but they've looked good in their matches. And then Ankaragücü are just above the relegation zone with 5 points. And then Göztepe, with their first win, are also on 5 points. And Beşiktaş, of course, on 5 points as well. Istanbul Başakşehir on 5 points. And Antalyaspor on 5 points. So lots of teams from 11 to 4 to 15 are on 5 points. And 1 point above relegation right now, so kind of reflecting last season for Fenerbahçe, Beşiktaş are right now with their terrible start to the season. Now let's look at the fixtures for next week. Then on Friday we have Başakşehir hosting Rizespor. Then on Saturday we have Denizlispor hosting Kasımpaşa, Alanyaspor hosting Sivasspor, and Galatasaray hosting Fenerbahçe at 6 o'clock in Central European time. Then on Sunday Then on Sunday we have Konyaspor hosting Kayserispor, Antalyaspor hosting Yeni Malatyaspor, Ankaragücü hosting Gençlerbirliği for the Ankara Derby, and then finally Trabzonspor host Beşiktaş. This is the final game of the match day. And I'm dreading it. Yakup is looking forward to it. Umut, how are you feeling about your big derby with Fenerbahçe?
I think it will be hard because Fatih Terim leaving us alone once again. And I don't know. Our game against Brugge and against Malatyaspor isn't promising, actually. So we should wait and see and hope that Murat Muric doesn't shine up.
Doesn't show up, yeah.
As well, Burak would say here, like he's already been better from compared to Elmanda at the time.
And Yakup, your expectations? What are you thinking? Are you looking forward to it? To beating
About Galatasaray Fener or Trabzon Beşiktaş?
Both.
Nah, some of the Galatasaray Fenerbahçe matches are always, it's more about everything that happens besides on the pitch than what happens on the pitch. So it will probably be a low scoring game. As for Trabzonspor Beşiktaş, just bet your house on Sturridge scoring. But otherwise, yeah.
Is he injured?
He'll be back. He'll be back. But otherwise, it will probably be a really nice match. As I said, the games, the derbies that Trabzonspor plays are generally really good.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I expect a fun game, but I'm ready to be disappointed.
Well, let's wait and see. That's up for next week. And of course, no European fixtures during this midweek, so we'll have to wait until the week after. So next week, we'll be reviewing match day 6 only, and we'll maybe briefly be looking forward to match day 2 in the Champions and Europa League. Thank you all for listening to this episode of Football a la Turca, and we'll see you again next week.